Hi class, so I'm presenting my research project on PowerPoint. I know it's backwards, but I'm going to be posting the PowerPoint link under the video so that way you guys can be able to follow along with the video and the PowerPoint. You can do it side by side. I mean, I don't know how your computers work, but mine could do that, so I hope everybody else's can too. So to be a teacher, so the traits and effective practices of a teacher. The characteristics of an effective teacher that I found was communication, personality, and professional development. And you'll be able to find that on the source below. So that source contained actually 10 different characteristics, but I chose the 3 that were most important to me. So to begin with, an explanation, communication. So for communication, the source says its delivery must be effective, or else the information and its quality cannot be consumed. If you can't communicate with the students and be able to explain effectively your lesson, the students won't understand. And I think that's for everybody. If you can't explain something, then someone's not going to be able to understand. You need to be able to communicate it. My next characteristic that I found was personality. The source says students are not compatible with the teacher. So I don't know if it was, I don't believe they mentioned a research or anything like that, but it did mention that some students weren't compatible with the teacher because of their personality. So I took this as like boring personality equals boring lesson and loss of students' attention, and it's just not good. So I have a personal story about this. In 7th grade, I had a history teacher who had no personality, made the class super boring, and it was just so bland, and it was terrible. And it led to no control in the class. So like the class was really rowdy, really loud, no one paid attention. I don't even think I learned anything, if I'm being honest. It was just it wasn't a good environment because the personality just wasn't there. And finally, my last trait is professional development. So the source says teachers must learn as the students do, and you develop as a professional that way. So what I took is like learn what strategy is effective on your students and what's not. Learn what the students are enjoying and what they pull away from. And by learning, developing professionally, you realize what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And it's always going to change because you'll always have different students. So it's good to always like develop yourself professionally. So that's what makes you an effective teacher. Next, I have the roles of teachers. The roles of teachers that I found was constructive guidance, reprimanding, and understanding. The source that I used to find these is actually at the bottom. It's called Cultivating a Healthy Classroom, which was really cool to read because it was like talking about how to make your classroom a healthy place. So for this one, I found, to begin with, constructive guidance. So the source says instead of flicking the lights or using verbal attention-getting tactics, redirecting the children to engage in appropriate activities rather than telling them what they're doing wrong. So the role of a teacher is to guide the conversation towards a different direction rather than scolding at the students, if that makes sense. So you know how some teachers clap, some teachers stand here and say "I'll wait," or they snap, or whatever they do to get their attention whenever they're off task. It's rather than doing that, it's better to guide the conversation and guide it in a constructive way, which is why it's called constructive guidance. But yeah, that's like the role of a teacher, is to be a guider in a sense. Next is to reprimand. So the source says a healthy oral, facial, and body expression set the tone that emotionally stable and eager learners. For emotionally stable and eager learners. I don't know if that made sense for a second, but I'll explain. So when there is like a negativity orally, facially, and like physical expressions, a teacher's role is to reprimand, to create a healthy learning environment, meaning that to get rid of all that, to make sure no one's doing that. Not that no one's negative, because of course people have a bad day, but try to be as, you yourself try to be as positive and reprimand that. Do not let that, that's your role, is to not let it affect people that want to learn. So definitely reprimanding is a role of a teacher. I know it's a harsh word, but it's, if you use it correctly, the if you use it correctly, yeah, if you use it correctly, it makes sense. Understanding. My last role of a teacher was understanding. So the source says good kids are generally able to solve problems independently. The bad kids needs you, the competent teacher, because they don't learn easily. What I took from that is the role of a teacher is to understand that all students are the same. Some need more guidance than others. And so being understanding is definitely your role, because you need to understand that not all students are the same. And you need to understand that you're going to have one student that learns so quick, never asks questions, that's a really good. Then you're going to have one student that is so far behind from the whole lesson. And you just need to understand that it's not easy for everybody. It's just not easy. And finally, ultimately, a teacher is a role model. And I think that I found a quote from this source right below here that it just stood out to me, and I just had to add this in here because I just think being a role model is really what all teachers are, and what all teachers should want to be. You want to be a good role model. So this quote says, teachers are like role models. They weave the fabric of who their students are and will become, which is true. You know, you can either make your students really good learners, really on task, or your students can be just not at all, just really, really hard to deal with. And it's really up to you. Like you're the role model, you're the guider, you're everything. So ultimately, teacher is a role model, and you create the students that you will have. This is just a visual. I liked it because the teachers are all holding. It's the teacher and they're all holding hands. It's not really much, but I just like the picture. And finally, my references. I hope you enjoyed this PowerPoint and learned something from it. I'm sorry that it's backwards again, but I'll be posting it forwards, and then I'll be posting my notes too, so that way, because I know I didn't write much in the PowerPoint, but you'll be able to read what I was saying.